Feel like lucid be my dreams. Said he love me, so I'm sure you know the means. It's like I'm living all inside a movie in a dream. Sequels to my life entirely up to me. Slowly suffocating, do you notice how it feels? Baby, can you help me while I'm running through the field? Like hills that have the eye, but I do not think they see me. Even if they do, then I guess gon' have to kill me.
Okay, for those of you who do not know, Kawhi Leonard, he was involved in some shit that has to do with like niggas are trying to say they finessed some niggas, or like he was finessing the Clippers, or like no, the Clippers had a different company paying out Kawhi some bread like under the table and shit. So like if they get caught up with this might be crazy.
What it says, I am cheating. I got too much money to be on the same playing field with you.
Kawhi Leonard is a player who's somewhat dodged the mainstream media for much of his career. From his early days in San Antonio to his later years in LA, it seems like the only thing that truly upset his fans were the amount of games he'd sit out due to injury or load management. But you can't fault a guy for being overly cautious and preserving his body, right? However, something came...
Yo, to be honest though, a lot of niggas get mad at Kawhi for missing games. The one thing I will say is that nigga literally has degenerative knees. For those of you who don't know, degenerative knees is the same shit that Lonzo has, and it's the same shit that Brandon Roy and Greg Oden had. So the fact that he's even still playing is insane. And there's no, like, degenerative knees is worse than an Achilles. It's the worst injury in basketball, because worse than an Achilles, all that. Because no nigga has actually came back from that. That we know of. Like, bare niggas lost their career. Brandon Roy, Greg Oden. Lonzo just came back. He did there's a new surgery that came out where, like, they take cartilage from a dead person and put it in your knees. So we have to see how that works. We don't even know if that really works for real. So we just have to wait and see with Lonzo. I'm guessing Kawhi probably did something somewhat similar. I don't really know, but there's no fucking fix for that. So like the fact that nigga's even still playing is crazy.
Up recently. It all stemmed from the Spurs' first encounter with his uncle, Dennis Robertson. In the 2017-18 season, when Kawhi sat out the entire year due to what Uncle Dennis described as a quadriceps rehabilitation program. And that's fine, he needs time to recover. But what wasn't fine was how secretive they were being with Kawhi's injury, because he was clear to play, but still wasn't playing.
They knew he had degenerative knees. They probably had been known. They didn't want to say anything because they knew it could fuck up his bag in the future.
Now, with recent reports coming out that claim Kawhi Leonard is allegedly being paid under the table by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, not only could this become the NBA's biggest controversy in a long time, but it's also revealing the sketchy negotiating tactics Kawhi and his inner circle have used over the years. All the dirty laundry is being aired out, and in this video, let's take a detailed look at the controversy surrounding Kawhi Leonard, and everything leading up to this unfathomable circumstance he found himself in.
I'm a fun guy, I just can't give you a whole spiel.
The 2019 offseason, Kawhi signs with the LA Clippers. So the 2019 playoffs saw the Toronto Raptors capture their first championship in franchise history, with Kawhi Leonard carrying them on his back. While there were hopes he could re-sign with Toronto and run...
Hot take, the Raptors would have beat the Warriors, even if they had KD and Clay. I know niggas gonna lose their fucking mind, but every team that y'all niggas look at as gods and unbeatable, y'all viewed them unbeatable until they were beat. Every nigga sat there and said, yo, Kobe and Shaq never finna lose, until the Detroit Pistons came and beat them. Which on paper they had no business even hanging with the Lakers, but they beat them. The Raptors was like a fucking Detroit type of team. OG Anunoby, Norman Powell, Serge Ibaka, Pascal, Marc Gasol when he wasn't washed, Kyle Lowry, Kawhi, all them niggas. The second that Kyle Lowry, that's why I'm not trying to go on around here, but the second that Kyle Lowry started getting tired, they put in Fred VanVleet. Curry's gassed. They had gutted their whole bench to be able to get KD. So nigga, they're playing Curry, Clay, KD, Draymond like 40 fucking minutes. That's why they were getting injured and shit, because they had no depth. The second Curry started getting tired, nigga, they're putting Fred VanVleet. He's on fresh legs, stepping back. That's why Curry's gassed. He's running off a screen trying to guard this nigga. The second that Clay starts getting gassed, they're putting in Norman Powell. He's attacking the rim. Now Clay has to guard this nigga. The second Kawhi get gassed, they're putting in OG on KD. The second Pascal was busting Draymond ass. The second he get tired, they put in Ibaka. And then Marc Gasol, he could just eat the whole time. They had no fucking center. I think realistically, the Warriors were gonna get injured regardless if they played the Raptors. Because when they played the Raptors, because they literally had to play all their niggas 40 minutes, and they're guarding niggas on fresh legs. Not to mention the only 2 times they played in the regular season, the Raptors slapped them, And the shit like, oh, if they had Clay, they would have won. Nigga, they were down 3-1 with Clay. So your only argument really should be if they could have won with KD. I still think that the way the Raptors were constructed was per the best team that was ever constructed to go against the Warriors. Like, they were like literally made to play the fucking Warriors.
Back, his decision was set in stone. He wanted to go to LA. I mean, on paper, it seems reasonable that an NBA player wants to return home, to be surrounded by family and friends. But was that the real reason Kawhi wanted to go to LA? What's been buried amongst the headlines, however, were articles like these. Reportedly, Kawhi's uncle, Dennis Robertson, was hard to deal with. Quote, according to sources, Leonard and his camp, namely Uncle Dennis, asked for a lot from the Raptors in that meeting. Things players don't generally ask for in standard contract negotiations. Their requests were unreasonable. Josh Lewenberg of TSN reported, the Raptors have reached out to the league multiple times this season, when they felt the Clippers have crossed a line in their not-so-subtle pursuit of Leonard, I'm told. It wasn't just the Raptors, but the Lakers also chimed in. Bear in mind, they were Kawhi's original target. The Lakers felt their tactics were very bizarre and sketchy. Now, all of this was from 2019, but no one really cared because people believed Kawhi was leaving the Raptors regardless, so it didn't really matter how he felt. What this does tell you, however, is that maybe he did want to stay, initially, and by, quote, unreasonable requests, perhaps...
I think that, bro, the Clippers are going to end up losing, like, some first-round picks for this. Like, I remember it happened with Joe Smith. Was it Joe Smith? It was some player who did this with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he signed 3 one-year deals so that he could sign a max 4-year deal. And they fucking, this nigga said Joel Marlowe, this nigga bugging. But they did that, and then they ended up taking like 4 picks from them because of that. Now, I think that a lot of niggas are like, well, they did it multiple times. They violated the rules multiple times, and that's why they got fined so harshly. However, I think that regardless, because, bro, Kawhi is way fucking better than fucking Joe Smith or whatever fucking name is. I forgot. He's way better than him, and it directly led to like the ending of a championship team. Like, Kawhi just won a ring with the Raptors. So the Clippers came out, yo, we'll do this. It directly like dismantled a championship team. I think that they're gonna get fucking fined and fucking their picks took out the wazoo, nigga. I think that the best thing for the league to do is take the Clippers pick and give it to take all the Clippers picks and give it to the Raptors. And I know niggas gonna be like, well, they did it in the first they didn't do it when they signed him. The league investigated it originally. No fucking shit. The Raptors were reaching out and the Lakers reached out and were like, yo, they're doing some sus shit. The league investigated it, didn't find anything. They obviously promised Kawhi, yo, sign right now, and your next contract extension, we got you. We can't do it right now. Everything looks way too heat. You know what I mean? It looks like we're going to get caught up. Just sign now, and then we'll do it for the next contract. That's what the fuck they did. So, I think the Clippers picks should fucking go to the Raptors because they were directly involved in dismantling a championship team. Like, I don't give a fuck. I think that Raptors team would have ran it back and beat the Lakers in 6. Because Jimmy took them niggas, beat the Lakers. Because Jimmy on the Heat took them niggas to 6 with a worse supporting cast. And the Raptors literally beat the Sixers with Jimmy and Embiid and all them niggas the year before. Jimmy took them to 6, took the Lakers and shit to 6 with no Embiid. Fucking injured Bam Adebayo and a fucking injured Goran Dragic. Like,
perhaps Kawhi and Uncle Dennis wanted
I think they would have ran it back and went back to back. Because they went to 7 with the Celtics the very next year.
Behind the scenes. Yet the Raptors were not willing to do that. Whereas the Clippers did.
See?
I mean, they have the richest owner in sports, who's willing to spend whatever he wants to get the best players. Maybe this is the reason why Kawhi ultimately chose the Clippers, because he knew he'd get additional compensation outside of his contract.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Aspiration, the company that Ballmer allegedly used to funnel an additional $28 million to Kawhi to circumvent the NBA salary cap. What kind of company is it? Here's the timeline. They were founded in 2013 and basically describe themselves as a, quote, environmentally conscious digital bank, who sells carbon credits to large companies by planting trees. I mean, what? That already sounds kinda shady. By 2020, they received $250 million in funding.
From who? You see what I'm saying? This was a thought out plan. Kawhi signed. The Raptors wanted, what, the 2018, 2019, was it 2019, 2020? They won 2019, the summer of 2019. In 2020, after he signed, because he signs what, like June of 2019? 2020, they put out a big ass bag, $250 million in funding. so that when his next contract come around, they're ready to.
In 2021, Steve Ballmer committed $315 million of his own
2021,
money
see?
to finance Aspiration. In 2022, they became a sponsor for his team and signed Kawhi to an exclusive $28 million endorsement deal. Now, some have suggested that this sponsor was a complete sham, and that Kawhi did not do anything to represent Aspiration, and it was purely a way for Ballmer, a huge investor of the company, to pay Kawhi under the table.
Yeah.
In fact, Kawhi never even appeared in any Aspiration events or promotional material, while other players did. However, to play devil's advocate, the Clippers did start tweeting out stuff like this, using Kawhi's name along with Aspiration. So I'd imagine
That's them trying to cover their ass. What company do you fucking know is about to pay a nigga $22 million and he doesn't even acknowledge them once? I don't even think Kawhi has an IG, nigga. He has like a fan page IG run by like his aunt or some shit. Like, Kawhi doesn't even have social media for real. So this nigga does not promote this shit at all. They threw him 22 M's. What company would do that?
there was some sort of partnership where Aspiration could leverage Kawhi's name as a way to plant more trees?
That
Yeah,
shit
I
bullshit,
guess.
bro.
Nonetheless, this was supposed to be a team sponsor. Aspiration sponsored the entire Clippers team, so why does it seem like only Kawhi got paid a ton of extra money on top of that?
That there was a secret $28 million deal that Kawhi Leonard signed, an endorsement deal. This is a deal that nobody knew about with a company called Aspiration. And what I'm saying, via 7 sources who used to work at Aspiration, is that this is a deal that was brokered to explicitly circumvent the salary cap.
When
Yeah.
Pablo Torre dropped this bombshell out of nowhere, most media outlets were hesitant to pick it up immediately. It took ESPN almost a whole day to report on it, and I'd guess it's because this type of news can seriously damage somebody's credibility if they were wrong. However, with more and more news outlets doing their due diligence, more stories are coming out, and all of the peculiar moments surrounding Kawhi have resurfaced. Anyway, Aspiration would only sponsor the team for 2 seasons, as they went bankrupt shortly after that. In January 2024, the US Department of Justice discovered they weren't planting as many trees as they claimed. A year after that, Aspiration filed for bankruptcy, as their co-founder Joe Sandberg was arrested for fraud. Yeah, it's
Like,
not
my
looking too good.
nigga. Come on, bro.
Then 6 months after that, Pablo Torre released his own investigation into Aspiration and Kawhi Leonard.
I want you to understand too. So I think that the narrative that they're gonna try, like Steve Ballmer is gonna try and run with, is like, he got finessed. That's what he's gonna try and run with. This nigga is the richest owner in the fucking NBA who does all sorts of business and runs up a bag. As a businessman, all of these owners probably got finessed at some point in their career, absolutely. But this nigga, with the type of staff that he has and the billions and billions he ran up, he for sure has a team around him that could have did the due diligence to ensure that the investment that he put how much, 215 million into, he has a team that could for sure do enough due diligence to get some insight on this company to know if it's valid of them to go and put in 215 million before he puts 250 million dollars into the fucking company. Come on, bro. Come on.
Claiming
And then
that
they give
Ballmer
fucking
paid
Kawhi
Kawhi
28 million to do fucking nothing. What company is paying a motherfucker to do 28 million to do nothing? Like, let's use Steak and Drake as an example. Steak be finessing niggas, they have crypto, all type of shit. Bro, Steak, even Steak wouldn't throw around that bread and just pay out a nigga 28 million for no reason. Like, Drake got a bag from Steak, but you see how much he promotes it? No company is dumb enough
without
to do that
requiring
shit,
him
bro.
to do any marketing or endorsement deals for Aspiration. Considering that previously, Kawhi's group attempted to ask for unreasonable compensation from the Raptors and Lakers all those years ago, it's logical to assume it had something to do with getting extra money outside of his contract.
Yeah.
But it was only the Clippers who fulfilled his request. When they got accused by Pablo Torre, the response by the Clippers was basically exactly what you expect. They released a statement claiming negligence, and they had no idea Aspiration was a complete sham of a company with a criminal as a co-founder.
Bullshit,
Quote,
bro.
neither the Clippers nor Steve Ballmer circumvented the salary cap. The notion that Steve invested in Aspiration in order to funnel money to Kawhi Leonard is absurd. Steve invested because Aspiration's co-founders presented themselves as committed to doing right by their customers while protecting the environment.
Bull fucking shit, nigga.
Now,
So let's just use common sense as a group of human beings right now. Kawhi went to the Lakers. His first goal was the Lakers. He just won a championship with the Raptors. He goes and says, "Yo, nigga, I'm gonna need some extra bread on the side." Right? Mind you, the Lakers already have LeBron. Did they have AD? I think they got AD that summer. The Raptors have fucking Kyle Lowry, Norman Powell, fucking OG Anunoby, Marc Gasol, Pascal Siakam, Serge Ibaka, all of these niggas, Fred VanVleet, right? Who the fuck did the Clippers have? They didn't, when he first started his negotiations with them, they didn't even have Paul George yet. Paul George was still on the Thunder. This before they did the Thunder trade. And they didn't have fucking no one. They had like Lou Will, not Tobias Harris. But they didn't have shit on that roster. He go to them like, hey, yo, cut some extra bread on the low, you know? The Raptors like, nigga, we can't do that. The Lakers like, nigga, we cannot do that. He just happened to go to the Clippers, and the Clippers just happened to get caught up in this situation where they got finessed. Like, let's use common sense. Right there, the Clippers are the least likely team for him to go to. Raptors, you just won. They have a talented roster with they had multiple new niggas coming up. Pascal was young as fuck. Fred VanVleet was young as fuck. OG Anunoby was young as fuck. Like, they had a roster on them. And then say he didn't want to go home. LA has fucking Braun. It has fucking AD. You could really win over there. They have Kuzma still, all of that. Why the fuck would you pick LA, the Clippers, my nigga?
Did my own research, and apparently it wasn't just Microsoft who got bamboozled. Other large companies like Meta and Clarity AI, and even celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert Downey Jr., and Drake, they all invested a huge sum of money into aspiration.
And I agree. I agree 100%. Like, this is what I'm saying. I don't believe that aspiration was just like a faulty company that the Clippers organization started. Like, I'm not saying they have anything to do with starting that company. What I think is that the nigga talked to them niggas, spent a bag on them niggas, and like, yo, send some extra bread that way. Yo, sponsor one of our players, you know, send them some extra bread. And then they gave it to Kawhi, because why the fuck are they paying Kawhi this? See how they're saying all of these niggas are invested into that company. Who did that company pay out bags to? Why the fuck did Kawhi get $28 million for no reason? I think the nigga struck a deal with them like, yeah, I'm gonna give you fucking $250 million. I'll invest $250 million because I feel like this is a good business move, but also, yo, cut some bread to some of our players so they can stay around. You know what I mean?
And their partnership with the Clippers was actually supposed to be a 23-year sponsorship deal worth over $300 million. Yet by the second year of that deal, they were already bankrupt. So for Ballmer to claim he had no idea Aspiration's money was going down the drain, that kinda does make sense. Especially since so many other rich people got tricked into investing just like he did. Nevertheless, a 23-year sponsorship is insane. It's quite easy to funnel a few million to Kawhi every year and get away with it, because the line between a team sponsor and a player sponsor, it's kinda blurred. What I mean by this is when the NBA allowed teams to be sponsored by other companies, it created a very ambiguous situation. The official rule states NBA players are not to be directly paid by the team's official sponsors. Instead, they earn money from team sponsors through individual endorsement deals for products or services. Basically, with a rule as vague as this, not all players on the team are paid equally.
And mind you, mad teams probably do this shit, bro. Mad teams do this shit. So, safest, they have a sponsor with fucking, I don't know, Honey or some shit. And Honey's on niggas' jerseys, whatever. They'll probably go, Honey, yo, pay some extra bread to our player. Like, yo, pay him out a bag, you know? Like, what's the shit to promote it or whatever the fuck. Get him as a client, you know? Sponsor him, whatever the fuck, right? And, yo, we'll invest some money. We'll invest some money. We'll use your shit. We'll put your shit on our shit. Like, they for sure, other teams for sure do that. I think where Steve Ballmer got caught the fuck up is that he thought this company was legit. So he probably did get he really did probably get finesse, right? To an extent. Like, he put the bread down. He's like, all right, boom, I'm going to make some of this bread back. This company's going to be valid. And they're going to pay out Kawhi. Blessed, right? But they actually ended up going bankrupt. So, boom, now all their documents get leaked. And now all of this information comes out. So, he low-key did get finessed to an extent. However, I think that him working with them was also in an attempt to, like, secure Kawhi some extra
Somebody like Kawhi Leonard is obviously going to earn more from team sponsorships than, you know, like Nicholas Batum.
Obviously.
Even if the goal of Kawhi and Uncle Dennis was to get more money under the table, it's hard to prove it with concrete evidence. But do they need concrete evidence? Apparently not.
Unless there is a paper trail that the money that Steve Ballmer invested in this company went into Kawhi Leonard's pocket directly, I think it's going to be extremely, extremely, extremely difficult to do that. The Clippers are not dumb.
A new rule in the CBA claims that circumstantial evidence can be used if salary circumvention cannot be rationally explained. So the investigation just needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Kawhi was being paid irrationally. While his salary cap circumvention is the issue that people choose to focus on, this story has brought out all of the Clippers' wrongdoings in the last several years, starting when they first tried to recruit Leonard to their team in the first place. For example, back in October 2024, an ex-Clippers coach sued the Clippers for conspiring a multi-year tampering effort to get Kawhi to come there. He mentioned the team had a complete disregard for the anti-tampering law, and they were sending scouts, executives, high-ranking members of the Clippers brass to attend games in San Antonio and Toronto, presumably to talk to him and Uncle Dennis. Even Lawrence Frank, the Clippers' assistant coach at the time, was seen attending several games in Toronto when Kawhi played for the Raptors. Even if the investigation towards aspiration doesn't lead to anything, there has to be consequences for this ludicrous level of tampering the Clippers have conducted. And all of that just to lose in the first round.
Yeah, they didn't do shit.
This begs the question, what should the punishment be? Let me remind you of the Joe Smith situation. Back in 2000, the Minnesota Timberwolves were discovered to be involved in a scandal with Joe Smith. Basically, they had an under-the-table agreement to pay him a few small contracts first and then get his bird rights, which would then allow them to pay him a massive contract afterwards. They just had an agreement under the table, but he wasn't getting paid extra under the table, if you know what I mean. Yet, this became such a massive...
Bro, I think that this is way worse than the Joe Smith. Like, I seen some niggas be like, well, they gave him 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, so they did it multiple times. This is far worse than the Joe Smith situation because Joe Smith, he was already on the Timberwolves. Yo, PM, what the fuck is that? Private message? Bro, Joe Smith shit was worse because he was already on, I mean, this shit, the Kawhi shit is worse because he was already on the Timberwolves and they were just paying him so they could keep him on a 1 year so they can have other money to spend elsewhere and then give him his bag later. The Clippers did it in a way where they took a nigga who was much... Okay, bad. They did that shit after where it was like way worse because it was a nigga who was a fucking MVP caliber player who just won a championship, leaving a championship team to go to the Clippers. You see what I'm saying? It's way worse than the Joe Smith situation. So they're fucking... The punishment they should get should be way worse.
Controversy that the NBA realized it could potentially tarnish the image of their business. So they dropped a nuke on the Wolves. They lost 5 future first-round picks. They were eventually given back 2 of those picks, but still, the precedent has been set for this kind of violation. Back in the day, some even suggested this was too harsh, and David Stern just wanted to make an example of the Wolves to steer away other teams from trying to do the same thing. However, over the years, over the decades, with new things like team sponsorships and increased recruiting efforts, the tampering punishments have been quite lax. It's usually nothing more than a fine. Yeah. If the investigation concludes that the Clippers did indeed commit a violation, or several violations, I'm not even sure they'll get hit that hard. At the very worst, they might lose a first-round pick. At the very least, they'll get fined, or something like that. These days, the punishments are typically not severe enough for the crime. Anyway, that's it for this video. I might make another...
I feel like for this Kawhi situation, because it broke up a championship team, I think that the fine should be fucking severe, bro. Because this is worse than the Joe Smith one. And I think that, like, Steve Ballmer, really, realistically, he probably looking at it like, yo, my nigga, what's the worst that's gonna fucking happen to me? I'm gonna lose fucking, what, 200K? Like, they did some shit like that with DeAndre Jordan. He paid like 200K. This nigga's fucking a billionaire, nigga. That shit like $20 to him. He's blessed. He's not worried about that. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that the Timberwolves losing 5 first-round picks back then, that was unreasonable because he was already on the team and he was just signing 1 year, small 1 years, so that they could go and sign other players to build. And then he would sign a big contract. This is different. They broke up a championship team. Like, I think that this should be a much. This warrants 5 first-round picks, bro. And I feel like they should be given to the Raptors, nigga, because they fucked the Raptors bad, bro. I think the Raptors would have went back-to-back, I'm going to be honest.
Something, baby, I like just how you blushing. And maybe we could bust it at the function. Turn nothing to something. Wish you could just see the horrors of my life, my upbringing.